Hey everybody, Lindsay here, and it's time to catch up on some horror. It has been a bit since I did a review, and I've still been going to see movies, but I haven't been able to shoot many reviews because I've been sick or I've been out of town. I just haven't had time to sit down and finally talk about some of these movies that I have seen. I was so behind on watching horror movies that have come out recently, but I've finally caught up, and now we're gonna talk about them. We're gonna talk about Studio 666. We're going to talk about Cursed, and we're going to talk about the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre. First, we're going to talk about Studio 666.
Oh my God!
Studio 666. I was very excited to see this movie. I like the Foo Fighters. Dave Grohl's pretty funny. Their videos are very theatrical and cinematic and goofy and fun.
Killer barbecue.
And it's been so long since we've got a rock and roll horror movie. So I was very excited to see this one. So I went and saw it in the theater, and I had a good time watching it. It's very fun. It's very funny. The gore is great. They have tons of practical effects and digital effects, and they're all awesome. It's a basic story. It's a story that's been told before. A band moves into a place to record a record, and there's ghosts or a killer or a demon, and it takes them out one by one. In this one, Dave Grohl gets possessed by the frontman of a former band that recorded a record there, and he killed everybody. He does a spell with a dead raccoon. It's great.
I'm pretty handy on the grill.
Yeah, you like your meat charred and dry.
Great horror elements, great comedy elements. However, I do think it could have used some edits. There are some parts that kind of drag, especially right before the third act starts up, where there's just nothing going on. No one's getting killed, no one's killing someone. They're just kind of hanging out at the house, which is fun, but it doesn't serve the movie very well. And then when you get to the ending, it takes a while to end. There are a few endings. You think it's over, but it's not, and then you think it's over, but it's not. But it's all in good fun. If you haven't seen Studio 666, I highly suggest you go check it out. You'll have a good time watching this one. They just needed to cut some shit.
Here you go, man. Finish the song.
You did.
Up next, we're going to talk about The Cursed. The Cursed is a period film set in 19th century France. Woohoo! I really like the time period and the setting of this film. It's essentially a werewolf film, really. This wealthy landowner kicks all these gypsies off of his land, and they curse him. They put a curse on him, like Thinner, except this time it's werewolf. And like I said, I really love the setting. I love the time period. It's shot very well. It's very spooky atmosphere, lots of fog in the woods. This whole movie just looks cold and wet. They kind of go about the werewolf mythos a little different. I mean, there's a silver bullet. There's some familiar stuff like that. But there's some other stuff that I've never seen before when it comes to werewolves. It's very interesting. The acting is very well done. There's bookends to this movie that are interesting, but I don't know if they're needed at all. They kind of add a little extra, little zhush kind of thing, but they're not instrumental to the rest of the film. There's a really cool long shot, continuous shot in this movie that's really, really effective. It's very subtle, but it's very, very effective. It's this just long pull out of this scene that is happening, and it's great. It's very well done. And really, I'd say the only downfall of this film, that it kind of lingers a bit around the third act area. There's some low time, but it's not, I was never bored during this movie. But I will say the biggest detriment to it is they use CG for the creature at certain times. There is some practical creature stuff that is nice, but when they switch to CG, it it messes with the feel of the film, because with those practical effects, it feels very organic and part of the setting. But when you switch to that CG, it breaks that, and it takes you out of the film because it's very obvious that it's CG. So I think if they would have completely committed to a practical creature in this film, I think it would be that much better. But I would recommend checking this film out. It's kind of fun under the radar. Not a lot of people went to see it, but it's a good horror movie. It's a good spooky, slow burn werewolf story. I dug it. Now we're going to talk about one of the most divisive horror films to come out this year so far. The new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie that came out on Netflix a few weeks ago. It took me a while to get around to watching it because I had a ton of other stuff I had to watch. But I finally watched it. I watched it last night. And I don't have super strong opinions about it. I don't think we needed another Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. There are a few in the franchise that I love. I love the first one. I love the second one. I love The Next Generation with Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger. And I love 2003, I think it was 2003, the remake with Jessica Biel and Arlie Ermy. I thought that was very well done. Very, very good horror remake. One of my top 5 horror remakes of all time. It's a continuation from the original film. They kind of did the Halloween thing where they just chucked the rest, and it's just a continuation of that original film, which is fine, but they're just kind of doing the same thing that Halloween did. You know, they bring Sally Hardesty back for like 10 minutes. You know, her impact upon the film is very small. Whereas in the Halloween reboot, Laurie Strode is the central figure along with Michael Myers. In this one, she's just kind of there to tie it to that first movie.
I'm afraid your old friend's back.
I didn't really give a shit about any of the characters. I mean, they were at least characters. They had some personality and dimension. A few of them did. Whether that worked for whatever the film was trying to go for, I don't know and don't really care. I did like the setting. I liked the ghost town setting, you know, with the abandoned theater and all the old storefronts. I liked that setting. I thought it was cool and unique. They don't really talk about or go into how Leatherface came to be at this orphanage. It's just kind of muddled a lot, you know, you don't really get a lot of answers, which is okay. I mean, you don't need a lot of answers. It's just spooky orphanage, Leatherface is there now, and this old lady's been taking care of him and keeping him calm. And it is kind of funny that all these millennials were bussing in to buy the buildings in this place to open up places like, I think the one lady's business was called Brady's Brunch, and they're all like happy, yay, we're gonna have our little brunch spot, and then they all just get massacred by Leatherface in the bus. I thought that was pretty funny.
Try anything and you're canceled, bro.
Oh, fuck.
I mean, it had some fun kills, brutal violence, a lot of chainsaw stuff. And the guy who played Leatherface did a really good job with the physicality, because Leatherface doesn't say anything. He doesn't even really grunt or anything. He's just this hulking presence, you know? He did a really good job with the physicality, with the running and the way he was standing. It was very, very Leatherface. That part I liked. The rest I could give or take. Like I said, it's just kind of a needless sequel. The ending I thought was kind of dumb and didn't really make sense. I don't know. It's like, do we need more of these movies? I don't know. I'd like more of these type of films, and maybe I don't know. I don't know what you would do with this franchise at this point. I don't think this was the best thing they could have done, but I mean, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen done with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. So I'm not going to give it too much flack. If you watched it, let me know what you thought, what your thoughts were, because some people really, really fucking hated it, and some people really loved it. And I'm just kind of like, it was cool when he broke the guy's arm and stabbed him with his own bones.
Fear no evil, fear no evil.
Well, that is going to do it for this review. I've got a couple more videos coming out. I've got a review of X will be coming soon. I'm doing a review of Grindhouse releasing Death Game onto Blu-ray. They were awesome and sent me a blue of that, so I watched it, and I'm going to do a deep dive on all the extras and everything that comes along with that disc. And I'm finally going to finish my 5 favorite 1980s films. We've got 1989, and that's it. And that is the end of the 80s. So I'm hoping to get all this finished. I'm hoping I don't get fucking sick again, because I'm tired of being sick. I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. You know, I deal with the Crohn's disease shit. Being regular people sick, I hate. I hate it. But that is going to do it for these reviews. So until next time, this is Lindsay signing off. I'll check you later.